What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I had to film this video a couple of times because I had a lot to say about the new episode of Chicago PD. What are we on, the 8th season? Is it season? This ain't even your... Let's just get it started.
Young rich plus some bougie, trying to make my life a movie. Raindrops, drop top.
The show opens following up with the conflict that ended the last season, where Atwater would not lie or defend a racist police officer who was murdered after harassing and stopping somebody without cause. This episode did a great job leading us back into that. Even though there's a pandemic, they did not abandon that actual storyline. In fact, this is probably one of the best times in history for that. This episode also did a great job of showing the divide between the public and the police, and how tense it can actually be. It also did a great job of showing how murky the line between following the letter of the law and getting the job done could be in a lot of situations. It did a great job of showing that not every police officer in the world is bad. Also, not every police officer in the world obviously is good either, especially when they're going against each other because someone didn't follow some unwritten code. And you know what? During this time in the world, this is very relevant. These very struggles are very, very real. And the show did a really good job of making those struggles feel real and heavy. There were stakes. Another great thing about this episode, and honestly one of my favorite things about this show, is Atwater. He became one of my favorite characters. Either there are some incredible writers for his character, or they let him ad-lib a lot of those lines, because they are very genuine. He as an actor is getting better and better. His performances are some of the most convincing on the entire show. I really can tell the conflict. I can see the things that are going through his mind on his face, even the real weight of his choices. But this is a battle that he's taking on himself, and you can really tell that it's getting to him. He has a unique, small, closely knit family with intelligence, and then at the same time, he's on his own.
Cops are still blue, still black.
Another great thing about this episode, and I don't think I need to say much more than that. I mean, that's really all I gotta say. The real reason I filmed this is because there's a narrative in this episode that is pretty problematic. There's one really big thing that you need to understand before I say anything. When you watch a work of fiction, it's based on perspective, specifically the perspective of the protagonist or group of protagonists. Any protagonist or group of protagonists in any story are the lens that we view that world. We take journeys with them, we learn as they learn, we see things the way that they see them. Sometimes the protagonists, because of that, are made to be larger than life, a lot stronger, more brave, or more beautiful. And then sometimes they're just very average, blank slates, characters with masks so that we can easily surrender ourselves psychologically and put ourselves in their shoes. And thereby, when they perceive the world a certain way, that transfers to the viewer. There's an old saying that says that you are always the hero in your own story. That is why the episode is problematic. Perspective is very important. For example, let's say you watch a show like The X-Files, where you have two FBI agents, Mulder and Scully.
Scolder and Mully.
Whenever they go to a town where they have to take an X-Files case over from the local police always seem incompetent, very ignorant, uninformed, kind of bumbling, they get in the way. On the other hand, movies and shows like Lethal Weapon or Beverly Hills Cop, the FBI is always very secretive, uptight, they don't really share information, they take things over, they're very entitled. So I ask you, which one's right? But that's exactly what I mean by you are always the hero in your own story. Perspective and narrative is very important. The thing that irritated me the most about this episode, they had a narrative where they beat you over the head with this woe is me, making the police seem very much like victims of everything going on in the world right now. The first problem is, even though there was great tension in the episode, they were not at all subtle about it. What I mean to say is that there are a lot of different ways an action drama can show tension that aren't so heavy-handed and don't feel as forced. Instead of showing people just not cooperating regularly, not wanting to talk, and maybe having some dramatic pauses, flat out had rude people in public, calling the cops racist, throwing bottles. I actually felt insulted as a viewer that they were being so on the nose about this conflict, about this tension. And I'm sure worse has happened. I'm sure worse happens every day to police officers and law enforcement. I get it. It was just so on the nose. They had the new boss say the exact same type of thing to Voight that other people in the past have said to Voight as a threat, when I don't really think she was threatening him. She was just doing her job. You had people early on in the episode thwart the investigation by lawyering up when they probably didn't need to or probably wouldn't have ordinarily on the show. And then the worst parts are they had the super obvious, caught them red-handed evidence get thrown out because of a loophole in police procedure. And then Voight even saying they had to pretty much build a whole new case with whole new evidence and whatever against the guy. Now that all falls under the umbrella of things that are working against the police or not working out for the police in their favor throughout this episode. The other side of that coin, don't at me, just follow me here. What they did here is they took an antagonist and they made him so unlikable, so unforgivable. It made us as the viewer really root for this guy to be behind bars. I mean, think about it. He shot a little girl. He robbed a church. At the same time, robbed a drug dealer, so there's no honor amongst thieves. He mocked the police. And by police, of course, I mean you, because you are supposed to be the protagonist. He also mocked the little girl who got shot. And then at the end of the episode, they killed the little girl. And on top of all of that, they showed him walking out smirking. So of course, this is very black and white. This is a bad guy. He's got to go to jail or whatever else happens. Real life is not that cut and dry most of the time. It's very rare that you have this mustache curling, baby killing, smart aleck villain. Yes, there's definitely major evil in this world. And there are some cut and dry crimes that go on that are like this. But the reason why we even have a justice system and a legal system, whether it works or not, because this is not a commentary completely on that, is not to defend or protect the guilty, it's to defend and protect innocent people. Also, when you watch these works of fiction, as an audience member, we have information that in real life people normally don't have. Otherwise, there would be no need for juries and judges and court systems and legal teams and lawyers and things of that sort. The idea behind a lot of episodes like this is that the ends justify the means. We see it all the time in popular movies. In the movie Seven, Brad Pitt pays off a homeless person or a prostitute or something like that to say that she heard noises coming from an apartment just so they could get access that they
gained illegally to begin with.
But again, Kevin Spacey killed a bunch of people, put people's wives' heads in boxes.
What's in the box?
So, you know, we overlook that stuff. It doesn't matter because the ends justify the means. This show Suits. The guy's not a real lawyer. Yo, I love that show. I loved Mike's character, but he's not a lawyer. No, he was not a lawyer. They do bad things in order to serve a greater good or serve a bigger picture. Then the actions end up being justified, which is exactly why this bad guy in this episode was pretty much the worst of the worst that you could possibly imagine. The only way he could have been worse is if they made him a pedophile too, but that's neither here nor there. Believe me, nobody wanted that guy to get what was coming to him worse than I did.
Oh, hell no! It's not funny. Not funny.
But here's the thing, not too long ago, Illinois actually had the highest rate in the nation of exonerated from wrongful conviction, wrongfully convicted, exoneration. They led the nation in exonerations from wrongful convictions. Chicago was considered the false confession capital. And with the behavior that we actually see happen in this series, that's not surprising. Now, I'm not saying all Chicago police or all police are bad. I've got family, friends. I know so many people in law enforcement that I appreciate. What I'm saying is you can't use doing the greater good and doing what you gotta do to get done what needs done as a reason. You have to follow the law. There is a reason that laws are in place. The show really wanted me to feel bad that the evidence got overturned and tossed out when they did not do their jobs properly. Women and children could have been killed or hurt in the line of serving that warrant. But the show didn't make us want to feel bad about that. Didn't make us want to feel bad about them. No, we were supposed to feel bad that the police could not do their jobs because of quote-unquote red tape. Do a better job. And then Voight's first reaction was to try to take the guy in the basement and beat him up, which led to a great dialogue between him and Atwater. And that is another reason why perspective is a funny thing. Voight was actually a bad guy on Chicago Fire. He tried to intimidate one of the main characters because he witnessed a crime or something and one of his family members was involved. Now that he's the main character of a different TV show, we're behind the guy. We back the guy. We see that he does what he gotta do. But does he? You better believe if a couple of police officers like Voight took me and put me in a cage and beat me up like I've seen them do, give me the Jack Bauer treatment, I'm probably gonna falsely confess as well. Because even though I don't get into nothing, if they think I do, if they got a phone record, if they got something and they just got an axe to grind and they really want to put somebody behind bars, what's the difference between paying a prostitute or a homeless person to lie so you can gain entry and using somebody who maybe went to high school with the drug dealer as a way to jam somebody up? In case I wasn't totally clear, I'm not making any statement about law enforcement, good or bad. What I'm saying is, in this television show, what's irresponsible is a show that has such a large platform with such reach and viewership to push a narrative where our heroes are almost persecuted or victimized by oversight and having to do their jobs more efficiently and effectively. And then when our main characters have negative reactions to this change and reform, this opinion or narrative is pushed onto the viewer. If not subconsciously, but I mean, they beat it over our heads enough. So like I said, things are rarely as black and white as this in real life. I know it's just a television show, but when things are affecting our real life in this very delicate climate that we're in, it's very important that all of us pay very close attention to the things that we take in, to our entertainment, mental, and emotional diets as well. So beyond that, everybody, take care of yourselves. I love you. I will see y'all next time.
She's in love with who I am. Back in high school, I used to bust it to the dance. Yeah, at the happy hour with the fools in my hands. I did up his hand, 13, I was still a lay.
Well, dude, there you have it.